All right. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. I am your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching. And with me, as always, is our marketing director, one of our other coaches, Yogi Somie, all around superhuman, Mrs. Jen Wayborhart. Hey, Jen.
Weird. Hi,
Ah, I
Adam.
know, but I haven't referred to you that way because you've only been married for a minute.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
that one's really fun. And we've got a really cool guest for you guys today, a repeat guest. In fact, I think this makes the hat trick, the trifecta, the third time on our program for our resident idiot. That's an inside joke that you people may or may not get later. Michael Schaefer. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Hello, Adam. I'm good. I by the end of this, they'll probably get it. They'll
Okay.
probably get it.
And tell us, how are things in sunny California?
Things are very good. It is gorgeous out today. It's been for all of us an interesting year, obviously in real estate, but
Sure.
things have for us here. Things have been going great. I can't say I don't love the price points here. I mean,
Okay.
that's
So the true mark of a salesperson, of a real estate agent, a loan originator, somebody that does this high-end ticket item, direct-to-consumer kind of thing, is where I can ask you, how's the fucking weather in LA? And Michael can turn that conversation into real estate.
There you go.
You want to talk to somebody who knows how to steer a conversation? Find a successful real estate agent. That is the perfect MO right there. All right, so talk to us, Michael. It's been a year, 16 months, 18 months since you've been on?
I don't remember exactly when it was
You moved away, you fled to California or back to California.
I did.
We can talk about your early Hollywood days if you want.
It was funny, actually. I remember my first time, so 3 years ago, on the show was actually when I was doing my first California deal.
Oh, that's right.
I was literally in the car at the inspection.
You were at the inspection in the car. You were literally Just the Tips and a California real estate virgin. We popped both cherries right then and there.
First deal in Watts, which was
wow,
interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, I still I work everywhere, but like that was my first one, so I've got that, like, hey, first one was in Watts. Got my California real estate passport stamped, and
cutting some real teeth, that one.
Yeah, and it's been a good 3 years. It's been a building experience to go from nothing really. From I had not lived in LA at that point for like 12 years. And so I have,
never as a real estate agent.
Never as a real estate agent.
Right.
So I was completely new to California real estate, which welcome to regulations and disclosures.
Oh yeah. With the CADRE puts people through. Yeah.
It is nuts. But building our, we're mostly online lead gen based, and so building that database, long nurtures with with online leads very often.
Sure.
So now that now that we're 2.5 years in, actually almost 3. How's it November? Almost 3 years in, and that database is getting seasoned, and I'm closing deals with people that I first talked to 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, okay. This brings up a really important point, and we know this, and we talk about this incessantly on the podcast, in our video blog, in the books, on and on. All the things that I put out there for content talk about the fact that real estate, mortgages, well, it's a handful of other careers as well. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a career, not a job. Jen and I work on some things, and you've actually, unfortunately, not fallen victim to this because you're 1,000 miles away. But we even utilize the podcast in a lead gen fashion that could easily have a 3 or 4 year cycle on it.
Sure.
And we're not going anywhere. We do this with intention, and we do this knowing that timeline. And all of you listening, watching or listening, live or in syndication, should know this, that you might have year-long, 2-year-long, 3-year-long cycles for things you're going to do in your lead gen work, in your social media work, in your podcasting work, in your community event work, whatever the hell it is, that are going to have cycles in that kind of a time frame, and you'd better be prepared for it. And you'd better not quit. If you start doing the kind of shit that Michael did 3 years ago in order to start nurturing a legitimate business today and give up after 6 months because it's not working, shed a tear. I'm over you. Play your mini violin. I'm going to play my mini violin for you, etc. These things take time, constancy, consistency. Yeah, drives me nuts. I'm always reminiscent of this kid we had as a coaching client that told me he was going to door knock, not that I would do it, and that after 4 Saturdays, says I'm going to do 4 hours every Saturday. Great. After a month, he said, that didn't work. Like,
exactly.
you did 16 hours. That's like one work day in the life of a new agent. Tell me it sucked. Tell me you hated it. Don't tell me it didn't work.
Yeah, right. With every activity like that, you're right. It's consistency, and it's following through. I mean, it really is. I'm in an escrow right now for a buyer that I'd first spoken with this buyer over 3 years ago.
In 1984, right?
No, it was 2021, like September of 2021, and they weren't ready at all. They were going to sell their house. They wanted to sell this one, buy another one, sell their place in Arizona. They're retirees, and they weren't ready at that point. But I'd show them a few things, and then every few months they might say, "Oh, hey, we're in town. Can we we want to look at this?" And I knew that they couldn't actually buy it then, but now 2 years later, I just double-ended their sale off market and now have them in escrow. They're closing on Thursday on their new house. That's $4 million of business from that one lead 2 years ago.
You worked for years. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I really hope our audience is keying in on that kind of thing, because that kind of consistency and constancy, I don't have a better term for it. And Jen, you can we can certainly talk about the new book, because we talk a lot about constancy and consistency. I really hope our audience has got their radar on hearing that kind of thing. So yeah, there you have it, kids. Hey, Michael, was it worth the 2 years of effort?
I'd say it was worth the 2 years for to do $4 million with them over the course of 2 months.
No doubt,
worth it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that you just keep going. One thing though that I have had to come to though is because when you're nurturing leads for that long, you can end up with way too many leads that you're working. And part of that for me right now, I'm launching into sort of a new expansion mode. Need to bring on agents, because now I have those leads in my database that are seasoned. They're need to be worked, all of that. And I don't have enough people necessarily to do it. But what I've had to do is try to figure out somewhat quickly if somebody's real. And with online leads, there's a lot of people that aren't real. Especially
you mean that guy with an AOL email address that lives at 123 Main Street isn't a legit lead?
Hey, my wife still uses an AOL email address.
Okay. Wow.
But she's not real.
Wow. All right, fair enough.
But we get some crazy ones here, and it's like, oh, great, somebody landed on my site and they're interested in $30 million houses, but they're in Kentucky and they're dreaming.
Me too. I'm interested in $30 million houses.
Sure, but probably can't come out and plunk down cash for one.
If any of you want to buy me one, I'm down.
I've run across a bunch that actually it's kind of sad, actually. I feel bad for these people. But now 3 or 4 times, I think 4 times now, I've had people that come in as an online lead. They're looking for multi-million-dollar houses in the hills, wherever it is. Talk to them, and it becomes clear, and I figured out now how to make it clear really quickly, that they're being scammed by somebody who is catfishing them, pretending to be a celebrity and saying, "Oh, hey, no, you're going to come out here. I'm going to buy you a house. Look for houses." I've had that happen 4 times.
Wow.
4. and it's a little astounding. It's but I feel bad for these people, and I don't want to tell them, hey, you're being scammed. So those you just have to
God, well, you shouldn't have to.
not put in the
Yeah.
time.
For those of
And
you,
and they never want to say who it is. They never want to say who it is.
right?
But
Well, it's a Nigerian prince. That's why.
Well, no, they all think it's celebrities. I had one.
I know they do. I get it.
Right. I had one that, I'm talking to her, trying to get the name of this fiance, this man that she's gonna, move out here and he's gonna buy her a house. And I finally drilled down into it a little bit and get to where it's John Hamm. And John's my neighbor.
And John's a nice guy. He's
Actually,
not gonna.
I don't actually know him personally, but he is regarded as a very nice guy.
Yeah,
and he is not engaged to a woman in Ohio that he met online
and buying her a house.
Okay,
ladies and gentlemen, there are no celebrities looking to buy you houses.
No,
okay,
there aren't.
Right,
it's amazing. You would think they would. You would think they would want to.
Well, I think they all want to.
Sure.
Buy me a house.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Get online and find one.
Yeah. Halle Berry, if you're listening, you don't have to buy me a house. I'll just move in with you.
That sounds like a good deal.
Yeah. All right. So let's back up a little bit here, because I do think that there's something really important about the fact that these leads do exist. And obviously you and I know each other really well, and you know where I stand on internet leads for the most part, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really big on making sure people know how to generate leads, not buy leads, that kind of thing. But I'm always about putting some fresh meat in the grinder. Open up your world to a new circle. Pick up a lead. It might develop into something, a deal, their coworkers, their relatives, their friends, and you're kind of building another circle in your circle. So every now and then a little bit of fresh meat for the grinder, I think, is an important piece of the puzzle. But when you're doing it consistently, constantly, repetitively over the course of years, you got to start building out some systems for this, right? Mm-hmm. You have already mentioned that there are some that you got to let go by the wayside because of the volume. You got to let go by the wayside because after your cycle, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, it's just not going to pan out. You need more help, these kinds of things. So talk to us about some automation, systemization for these leads. What are you doing with them after a year or 2 or 3? What goes on in the period between lead acquisition, experiencing that it is a real person, that they don't believe John Hamm is buying them a home. Okay, we've done our vetting, and the time that they actually do purchase. And like in this case we just talked about, is a couple of years. What goes on in that time frame to systemize, automate, stay in front of, so on and so forth? What are you doing to keep the lead warm?
Sure. Many things, and we're constantly evolving on this. So we're always evaluating what our tech stack is, trying to make sure that we're running the best systems. So the first, I'm sure hopefully everybody already has a CRM that they're using and using it effectively. That's
no, they're not. No. You can say hopefully everybody, and it's like, no, yes, hopefully, and like 3% of the people are probably doing it.
Well, if you're not doing that, even if you're only doing your sphere, you're still not tapping into it, because you're not remembering to call that person every quarter. If it's not in a CRM, you're not remembering to do that. So
I think you just gave Jen some of our graphics for the week coming. Cool. Keep going.
So you have to have a CRM that's going to keep your leads in order. You have to have something that is going to keep things coming out to them. And primarily, at least on the buyer side, that's just making sure that there's always a search running. There's always an automated search running.
And for those of you listening,
set it back up.
Yeah, for those of you that just went, oh yeah, I have all that shit in a spreadsheet. No, not a CRM. Keep going, Michael.
Yeah, and I use my CRM for everything. I use Follow Up Boss, and I put my personal stuff in there, like as a task on my own lead. Okay,
it reminded me to change the furnace filter this weekend.
Oh, I need to do that. So as far as keeping them re-engaged, most of what we do is make sure that they are keep getting searches. because you can send out all the newsletters that you want. And, I've never seen, unless you're really localized, and we're not really localized. We work a
How can you be? It's LA.
massive geographic area. So if I put out a newsletter about the Hollywood Hills, that doesn't mean anything to 95% of the database or more. And then we're always adding new things in. We just this year really shifted over to a focus on seller leads.
Of course,
the market dictates.
And all of you should be, okay. All of you listening, all of you in real estate should be doing this. If you haven't already pivoted to the point where you are focusing your lead gen on sellers versus buyers, please start figuring that out before it shifts back. Come on. Well, it probably won't. Not for
well, you're always going to want listings. Listings are always what you want. And this is something that me and my group have always, it's been challenging. Seller leads are a lot more challenging to get. And, so we got into a system this year that is providing a great flow of seller home value requests.
Michael, for reference, how many agents are in the LA area?
Oh, I have no idea.
How many listings are there in the LA area?
See, the problem is when you say the LA area, it's not that meaningful because it is just too big to even consider, I think.
Well, scale it back into
metrics on that.
Scale it back into your metrics.
I mean, so, typically we'll have inventory of, I don't know what the numbers are right now. I'm going to say 4,000 or 5,000 listings, I think, in the county.
And how many?
That's not that many for
No.
as big as this is. How many agents? I want to say there's 50,000 or more. It's an insane amount of agents.
That scale is the same here. There's about 10% the number of listings as there are agents. Do the math.
Right.
Getting those leads is no easy task.
No. And then once you get them, what do you do with them? So, we have ISAs that are calling for us, trying to make that first line of contact, trying to, verify some contact information. If they reach them, hopefully they can, ask a little bit about, hey, are there updates so that we can run evaluation? And depending on the intent, depending on the strength of it, we'll either do a full CMA presentation, essentially, and we do a video. We use Loom, we do a video, and then we use Highnote to send it and present it. Highnote's a great system for that. It's really easy to do web presentations.
And there are a bunch.
Yeah.
There are a good handful of them. And you guys listening, watching, just do something. Take imperfect action. Pick up a system that'll enable you to do this.
And then we just added a new system that I guess it's pretty new. It seems to be really coming on strong now, called Fellow. And
Fellow,
it's amazing. I mean, it is it's really amazing. It's similar to HomeBot, but I've found it to get a lot more engagement from a lot more people. It's got some just great features in it. So we've just started working with that. So we've got a tech stack that works with that, as far as being able to generate the leads, nurture the leads, keep track of the leads. Because when you have thousands of them in your database, you just can't. You can never know.
No. If you're not using technology, systems, automation to manage that, to keep that organized, you're just
not a chance.
Then why waste your money? Let's put it
right. And I'll say a few years ago, when I was in Denver and I had left Sotheby's, left the partnership that I had been in, I was like, no, I'm going to go out completely on my own. I don't want a brokerage. I got my broker's license and just did it myself for a couple of years and started generating these kinds of leads and had no idea how to work them. Not a clue. Wasted a lot of money.
I'm sure.
Because what I didn't realize back then, or a lot of it was just phone call reluctance. Back then I wasn't getting a lead and giving them 10 days of pain and hitting them over and over and over. I was like, well, they landed on my site. If they come back, great. I'll text them.
What do we mean? You mean like you were being passive about it?
I was being too passive.
It would just come to you.
I had no idea how to work with non-referral leads or
All right.
non-spirited
And by the way,
leads.
the book Overcoming Call Reluctance is required reading in our program.
There you go.
You got it, folks. You got to do it. You got to get past that.
I was extremely call reluctant years ago. I mean, very, and now it's just somebody on the other end of the line that I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, you meet people all the time, new people,
and
have a
so
conversation.
So someone hangs up on you, or somebody says, "Oh, don't call me," or whatever. Okay, move on to the next one. Just make sure you have enough.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think the funny part, this is a relatively new book, and kudos to a former coach and mentor, Carl White. He's the one that wrote Overcoming Call Reluctance. When he put it out, I said something like, "I don't have call reluctance. I make literally hundreds and hundreds of phone calls a week, outbound phone calls a week." And he said, "Yeah, you do." And I read the book and I was like, oh gosh, I really do still have some call reluctance. There are still speed bumps to get over in order to make that
I'm
better.
putting that book on my list. That's going to be my next audio book. I just actually just finished Traction, which is something that we're implementing in our business, which is it's kind of mind blowing. If you know of or check out this book Traction. In fact, I've got it right here.
Yeah.
It's not real estate specific.
Good.
It is. Where's my camera?
Wait, what's the subtitle there? Traction. What is that underneath?
Get a Grip on Your Business by Gino Wickman.
Cool.
And this was recommended to me by a guy who runs a team down in San Diego that does hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And it really is. I mean, we're just starting to work on implementing it because it is about re-envisioning your whole business, your processes, who you have with you, what your priorities are, what your vision is. Because in this business, it's very easy to just say, well, we sell real estate. We just, get leads, sell them. Yeah, it's really easy to say, well, this business is simple, but it's not.
Oh, yeah. Actually, your business is two businesses.
Oh, absolutely.
And in California, it's even amped a little bit because of the DRE. You have to know a literal fuck ton about real estate.
A metric fuck ton.
And that's not even the job.
No.
The job is to generate leads, to find buyers and sellers. Because, you may really know all the ins and outs of how to navigate the DRE. Let's even generalize that more for some coast-to-coast type of stuff. Like, you might be really good at negotiating an inspection. And it still doesn't fucking matter if you don't have somebody to negotiate it for.
Exactly.
So, It's really two jobs.
At least two jobs.
Yeah.
It's at least two jobs.
Yeah. This is very, very cool. All right. So what do you see on the horizon? I mean, we try to avoid all the doom and gloom, what this year looked like, what last year looked like. And frankly, I'm kind of comfortable with what's going on right now. I don't have anybody working 60 hours a week, including myself. Can still pay the bills. We're not just working at the drive-through. Oh my God. In 20 and 21, it was so redundant. I mean, every time the phone rang, it was like, would you like fries with that?
Sure.
I know you want to lower your rate and payment. Would you like fries with that? I'll talk to you in 30 days. And now we actually get to be creative and use our skills and solve problems and so on and so forth. So it's more creative. It's more fun. It is a ton more work. I don't have a single colleague who hasn't said something like, man, if we were just getting paid commensurate to the amount of work we're putting in.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Sure. Okay. And that's the case in any commission business. We don't make a dime until we close.
Oh, and right now it's
a lot of work
to get
there. And I am doing about 60 hours a week right now. Because I do have a lot of leads. I'm doing great business this year. So even though, I don't go in for any of the doom.
Say again, you're doing great business this year?
Yeah.
Oh, so it is possible.
Oh, yeah.
And all the doom and gloom bullshit out there from the real estate agents that are playing those tiny violins. Hey, people, just do the work.
I'm going to have one of my best volume, solo, just for me, volume years ever, I think, actually. Now it helps that my average price point this year is $2 million. So that helps.
Californians. Actually, we're not far behind.
So as far as, the doom and gloom. You know what? You can control it. You can control what you do. You can control that you pick up the phone.
How you react, your
Exactly.
attitude, your perseverance. Yeah.
You don't get to control mortgage rates. You just have to work with it. And honestly, the thing that I really hope that we never get down to 3% and 4% rates again, because
Could
that
you
was
imagine what that would do to the real estate market? Oh
that
my
was
God.
such a mistake to allow that to happen. If we could be in a 5 to 6% range for the long term, which the forecasts seem to look like, by maybe end of next year, maybe we'll get back to that range.
Oh, we're already getting back to that range.
Well, the
last 10 days, have been really good on the mortgage-backed securities market. And yeah, I mean, it's just a pendulum that swings back and forth. We don't actually have a healthy economy. So yeah, you catch it where you can. But yeah, if we did have one, yeah, 5s is probably realistic, even with the supply and demand problem in the real estate. But
the inventory problem isn't changing.
I'll bet you they go lower.
Lower than 5s?
Yeah.
You know what? As long as they don't get down to 3s, where then people are so locked in, they're not going to move when they've got a 3% mortgage.
Fine, don't move. Rent that shit out and buy another one.
True.
Yeah.
Although here, rentals don't cash flow, so it's difficult here.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, they really don't cash flow. Maybe at a 3.5% or something like that, they'd cash flow. But for the most part, rentals don't cash flow here. They are, you're in it for the equity increases. So if you're holding,
real estate's a long play anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But I get people
investing
all the
in
time.
real estate for the monthly cash flow. Go back to your job, please.
Right. Or the people all the time that want a house hack that say, okay, I want a duplex. I'm going to live in one side. I'm going to have the other side basically pay for the mortgage. No, it's not going to.
No, it's going to supplement your mortgage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's an interesting thing happening here that they just passed the law on, and it's not implemented yet, but where a person will be able to build an ADU and sell it as if it was a condo on the property. So that's going to be a game changer. So some things like that are interesting that are on the horizon. I'm maybe one of the few people that isn't that worried about the buyer commissions and the lawsuits and everything like that. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Well,
yeah. Unless you can go down there and talk to a judge, you don't have control.
Adapt or die.
We'll work with what you can control.
Yep. Adapt or die. Wow. These episodes with you always whip by in such a hurry. It's just insane.
They do. Wow.
It's just because we're buddies and we have so much in common, and we're still pained from you abandoning us for California. So.
I just couldn't even imagine going back. I love LA. People hate on LA, but I love it here.
Okay, I'm not going to get into that debate. I love Huntington and Newport and Laguna and
no, I love LA. LA, especially East Side. I love LA.
All right. Jen, what else do we need to know about these days? Because if you don't interrupt us, Michael and I are going to do this for another half hour.
Exactly.
All right.
I mean, that's fine. Just keep going. No, Michael will get you rebooked. We are booking into January of 2025. So who knows what you'll be up to? Because we didn't even touch on your change in brokerages.
We didn't. But hey, anybody out there, reach out to me.
I'm more interested
anytime.
In John Hamm buying him a house.
Exactly.
I'm more interested in him signing a writer for Gilmore Girls. I'll just talk about that for 30 minutes.
Right. Long ago in another life.
Another lifetime. No, thank you, Michael. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we'll get you rebooked for another episode in season 8. Adam, season 8 is what we were booking.
Oh, yeah. So we're being constant and consistent in our activities?
We actually do what we tell other people to do. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. But for those of you listening or watching, if you want to learn more about Just the Tips coaching, you can text TIPS to 63566. That will get you the episodes of the podcast, our weekly little tip. You can grab a copy of Adam's books, plural. We need to get physical copies of your new one, Adam. So
I've seen one.
Hold that up. I know you've seen one.
I don't have an actual physical copy. And for those of you that excuse me, haven't been following this over the last week. A week ago, I think we did the book launch.
Yep.
And
Yes, a
the
week ago
next
today.
day we hit bestseller status on Amazon.
Yep.
And yeah, I still haven't even seen I've seen the one physical copy of the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have my own yet.
Well, thank you to everybody who bought the book last week and supported us and all of that. But text tips to 63566 if you're not sure what we're talking about, or there's a post on Adam's both of our profiles. I made a post about it too. So you can grab, of course I did. So you can grab a copy of it as well. But yeah, all things Just the Tips, text tips to 63566.
Cool. Well, Michael, thank you.
Of course.
You know, it's funny.
Always fun.
We
Always
always
fun.
joke about how hard it is to carve out this kind of time on a Monday morning. We talk about that a lot. And you're an hour earlier. And we just did this stupid, let's all go off daylight savings time. I'm not sure if we saved the daylight this year or not, which is just so stupid. So really, from the bottom of my heart, this is a especially difficult time to roll our asses out of bed and do an early Monday morning podcast. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. It's always fun. I always enjoy it. So
for the rest of you that didn't pick up on that, we do this almost every single week. You can probably count on us for about 45 episodes a year on Mondays at 10:30 Mountain Time, whether that's standard or daylight. Yeah, well, we won't get into that debate. Yay, Arizona. And I saw that Dre, shout out to Dre, Puerto Rico also does not go off daylight savings time. So there's another potential spot to go live in to avoid this stupidity. Otherwise, for the rest of you, feel free to catch us live at 10:30 Mountain Time on Mondays. And you can catch the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon a couple of days after our live broadcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.